Everything alive, every plant, every animal, every microbe, and you shares one thing in common. Zoom in far enough, past the surface, past the tissues, past structures too small for the eye to see, and you arrive at the same place every time: a cell. The cell is the smallest structure that can truly be called alive. It can take in energy, respond to its surroundings, grow, and reproduce. Nothing simpler can do all of that. In this video, we'll break down what a cell actually is, what's inside it, how it works, and why this single idea sits at the foundation of all biology. Let's start with a definition. A cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life, the smallest unit that carries out all the processes we associate with living things. This idea is captured in one of biology's central frameworks, cell theory. It has three core principles. First, all living organisms are composed of one or more cells. Second, the cell is the fundamental unit of structure and function in life. And third, all cells arise from pre-existing cells. They don't form spontaneously. This understanding was built over centuries. In the 1660s, Robert Hooke examined cork under an early microscope and named the tiny compartments he saw cells after the small rooms in a monastery. Soon after, Antony van Leeuwenhoek observed living single-celled organisms he called animalcules. Then in the 1830s, Matthias Schleiden and Theodor Schwann proposed that plants and animals are both made of cells, and Rudolf Virchow later added the crucial principle that every cell comes from another cell. Together, their work transformed biology from describing organisms to understanding the units they're built from. Not all cells are the same. Life is divided into two broad categories based on cell structure. The first are prokaryotic cells, bacteria and archaea. These are smaller and simpler. Crucially, their genetic material floats freely in the cell. They have no enclosed nucleus and few internal compartments. Prokaryotes were the earliest life on Earth and remain the most abundant organisms today. The second are eukaryotic cells, the cells of animals, plants, fungi, and protists. These are larger and more complex. Their defining feature is compartmentalization. The DNA is enclosed within a membrane-bound nucleus, and the cell contains specialized internal structures called organelles, each performing a dedicated job. That division, free-floating DNA versus a packaged nucleus, is one of the most important distinctions in all of biology. For the rest of this video, we'll focus on the eukaryotic cell, since that's what you are made of. Think of a eukaryotic cell as a highly organized facility where each component handles a specific task. Let's walk through the major ones. The plasma membrane. The cell's boundary is a phospholipid bilayer, a double layer of fat molecules studded with proteins. It's selectively permeable, meaning it controls what enters and leaves. This regulation of the internal environment is essential. Without it, the cell couldn't maintain the conditions it needs to function. The nucleus. This is the control center. It houses the cell's DNA, the molecule that stores genetic instructions. Those instructions are organized into genes, which direct everything the cell builds and does. The nucleus is wrapped in its own membrane, protecting the genome and regulating which instructions are accessed and when. Mitochondria. Often called the powerhouse of the cell, mitochondria perform cellular respiration, breaking down nutrients to produce ATP, the molecule cells use as energy currency. They have their own small set of DNA, a clue that they likely descended from ancient free-living bacteria absorbed into early cells. Ribosomes. These are the sites of protein synthesis. Following instructions copied from DNA, ribosomes assemble amino acids into proteins, the molecules that carry out most of the cell's work, from structure to chemistry. The endoplasmic reticulum. A network of membranes extending from the nucleus. The rough ER, dotted with ribosomes, processes and folds proteins. The smooth ER synthesizes lipids and helps detoxify certain substances. The Golgi apparatus. This acts as the cell's processing and shipping department. It modifies, sorts, and packages proteins and lipids, then dispatches them to their correct destinations inside or outside the cell. Lysosomes. These contain digestive enzymes that break down waste, worn-out components, and invading material, essentially the cell's recycling and cleanup system. Cytoplasm and cytoskeleton. Filling the cell is the cytoplasm, a gel-like fluid where the organelles sit and chemical reactions occur. Running through it is the cytoskeleton, a network of protein filaments that gives the cell its shape, holds organelles in place, and enables movement and transport. Plant cells share these features but add 3 more. A rigid cell wall of cellulose surrounds the membrane, providing structural support. Chloroplasts carry out photosynthesis, converting sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide into chemical energy, the process that feeds most life on Earth. And a large central vacuole stores water and maintains internal pressure, helping the plant stay firm. So how does a cell actually use all this machinery? It comes down to information. The DNA in the nucleus holds the instructions. When the cell needs a particular protein, the relevant gene is copied into a messenger molecule called RNA. That message travels to the ribosomes, which read it and build the protein accordingly. This flow, from DNA to RNA to protein, is so central that biologists call it the central dogma of molecular biology. It's how a static set of instructions becomes a living, working cell. A single cell is remarkable, but complex life emerges when cells cooperate and specialize. This produces a clear hierarchy of organization. Similar cells working together form a tissue, such as muscle or nervous tissue. Different tissues combine into an organ, like the heart or the kidney, which performs a specific function. Organs that work together form an organ system, such as the circulatory or digestive system, and all the systems together make up the complete organism. The human body contains roughly 37 trillion cells and more than 200 distinct cell types, all originating from a single fertilized cell that divided again and again, with cells specializing along the way. Many of your cells are continually replaced. They divide, age, and are succeeded by new ones, so your body is in a constant state of renewal. Understanding the cell isn't just academic, it underpins modern medicine and biology. Many diseases are, at their root, problems at the cellular level. Cancer, for example, arises when cells lose control of their own division. Infections involve foreign cells or viruses hijacking ours. Advances in vaccines, gene therapies, and targeted drugs all depend on understanding how cells function and how to influence them precisely. So when we say, the cell is the fundamental unit of life, it's not an exaggeration. It is the smallest thing that lives, the common foundation shared by every organism, and the starting point for nearly every question in biology. Grasp the cell, and you've taken the first real step toward understanding life itself. If you found this useful, consider subscribing for more deep dives into biology, and leave a comment with what you'd like explained next. Thanks for watching.